I'm just chilling at home on the balcony, just enjoying the aftermath of a little rainstorm that has just passed through. And I want to talk about dating and relationships, specifically what I would tell my 18-year-old self before she dove into that world for the first time. When I was 18 years old, just freshly graduated from high school, the idea of having to date and being in a relationship took root very, very strongly in my mind. During high school, I was pretty withdrawn, nerdy, introverted, and didn't have a lot of experience with dating and dealing with guys in general. So when I realized that I could just start dating people at 18, it was like a whole new world opened up, and I was very keen to explore it. So, you know how the story goes, I immediately downloaded Tinder and soon dove headfirst into the dopamine game of swiping left, right on different people. And honestly, it was a bit like a video game. Very soon, and funnily enough, my first and only Tinder date became my first ever serious relationship that lasted over the next few years. Looking back now, I would definitely sit my 18-year-old self down before she even entertained the thought of dating and relationships for the first time. In particular, I would remind her of these 5 points. When you're in your teens, a lot of your decisions are tied to what your friends are doing, what your peers are doing. In regards to my 18-year-old self, this is very much the case, especially when it came to my mindset towards dating and relationships. At that time, a lot of my friends were in the same boat that I was in. Inexperienced, a little bit socially awkward, not having a lot of dating experience, in fact, not having boyfriends or girlfriends at all. So of course we would egg each other on who could get their firsts checked off. First date, first kiss, first boyfriend, or whatever. And it did feel like a big deal, like checking all of these boxes would make us cooler, more grown up, or somehow validate our newfound adulthood. However, with that mentality, it did mean that a lot of the time decisions were made in a rush. And in this rush, really, really important things were put on the back burner. Like, what kind of person did I want to be with? What qualities did I value in this person? Am I being discerning enough? Is this even a safe thing to do? And honestly, I wasn't even asking myself the most important question. Did I even want to do this, date someone at that time? So I would just remind my 18-year-old self there is no rush whatsoever. Those first experiences that you're building up in your head, like they'll drastically change your life or validate your self-worth, they most likely won't change anything. And they're definitely not worth compromising your safety or who you are. Looking back now, I can say with confidence that the most fulfilling relationships come from letting them grow organically, not forcing or rushing anything to happen. 18-year-old Lara, don't be a doormat. Pretty simple and straightforward. If you're going to step out into the messy world of adult relationships, know your boundaries. If there's a situation or behavior that you encounter that clashes with your values, don't just brush it off, sweep it under the rug, just to make the other person comfortable. Depending on what that behavior or situation is, bring it up casually in conversation, sit down and have a discussion, or walk away completely if you need to. I used to easily let things slide just because I didn't want to be perceived as high maintenance or hurt the other person's feelings. Big, big mistake. If you don't set your boundaries early in relationships, you're giving people the okay to walk all over you completely. And then you'll build up resentment or end up in a situation that feels totally off. So basically, if during an interaction something feels off, say like a bad gut feeling, don't just ignore it. First, ask yourself the question, why am I feeling this right now? If the answer to that is this person is crossing the line here, or this is going against my values, speak up or even get out if the situation calls for that. It doesn't matter how you look to others, if you look crazy, unhinged, you need to protect your own mental peace first. Always offer to pay for your own dinner. If someone offers to cover for you, be very, very discerning. At 18, my friends and I would consider it very, very flattering if a guy paid for everything during a date or interaction. I mean, he's just being gentlemanly. Guys should always pay on the first date, right? So free dinner and drinks, woohoo. Didn't even think twice about it at the time. But behind the scenes, and even though I wouldn't have been aware of this at the time, there was always a sneaky game of who owes who happening. When someone pays for your dinner, there's a strong chance that they are expecting more or something else from you in exchange. This sometimes is not very outwardly obvious, or the person themselves may not even be aware of their own expectations. Or you start feeling guilty, like you're somehow now beholden to them. This is not a fun dynamic to navigate, especially if you barely know this person or it's your first date. So, 18-year-old self, just to avoid all of that additional mental stress and clutter, just pay your own way. It's really not about the money, it's about staying on equal footing and staying in control of your own experience. Split the bill and you're free to be yourself with no strings attached. Just know that you can stop things at any time. I'm not saying to ghost someone immediately without thought the second that you get cold feet. Firstly, take a moment to question why you're feeling uneasy. If the answer to that question is that it's clearly not right, you don't have to stay. Let's say that you've been hanging out with someone for a while now. You know enough about them to know their general values, daily habits, lifestyle, how they live day to day. They might treat you well enough, but they have one or two behaviors that just completely clash with your values. Things that make your stomach drop. And it's clear that they don't plan to change these anytime soon. It might be tempting to think, I've already put in so much money, time, and effort into this connection, I might as well stick it out. That line of thought right there, that's the sunken cost fallacy talking. I'd remind my younger self that you can just walk away, no matter how much time you've invested. Whether just one date, a few weeks of texting, or even just a few months of getting to know each other, it doesn't matter. If you're very clear that this isn't right, it's so much better to save yourself the time and the heartbreak. Make the harder choice now rather than later. Your mental peace and self-integrity are worth so much more than forcing something that's really not meant to be. Thank you so much for watching. I hope these points give you a little something to chew on or reflect on. Please share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.